I believe that I can turn this ship
have secured championship status for another year.
Destroy the status quo until I know I found
Adrian Stegacic on debut.
I'm not
Wonderful from Josh Murphy, a player at the top of his game.
I'm fine, I just need time to turn this into home. I'm good, believe me. Believe me when I say I'm gonna be big explosions.
Let me go for distance! Oh, what a goal!
Volcanoes pop and blow. I'm not alone, I'm not alone. Who am I kidding? I'm sad, no ideas coming. It's driving me mad and I'm frightened. It's turning me bad, I'm loaded. Rage is taking me over. I just wanna be home with all my friends and family. Mum and dad is closing in on me. I need recovery, coming home. I'm coming home and I need closure. I need closure.
Yes, second-tier football returns to the Fortress as 20,000 of the Blue Army prepare to welcome John Messino's men home. After a perfect start to a second season in the Championship, with 3 points picked up on the road already, will Pompey's fine form in PO4 continue as the Canaries come calling? Coming up, Marlon Pack joins us live as we preview a new season with the help of the skipper. John Messino gives us his thoughts ahead of the second game of the season, plus a big moment for an academy star in Pompey's first round Carabao Cup clash with Reading. And wherever you're watching in the world, we'll bring you your starting 11, plus all the latest news, analysis and all the build-up right here from Fratton Park, ahead of that 12:30 British summertime kickoff. So hello, good morning and welcome to Pompey Plus. My name is George Wedlake and last week we set the question, could Pompey follow up a perfect pre-season with a first win on the road to kick off the championship season? And the answer to that, an emphatic yes. This week's question, can they do it all again at home? Well, alongside me to help answer that question and more this morning, on the balcony we have Paul Hardiman and Mark Kelly. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, George.
Good morning, George.
So Paul, cast your mind back to last week then. It is a cliche. I don't like reeling them out too often, but it was literally a game of two halves. The first, Pompey were kind of in control. The second, Oxford started gaining some territory, especially in that last 20, but we managed to ride it out.
Yeah, we did, and as I said, like George, it was one of those where I was driving down this morning thinking about my comment to you at half time. You asked me, do we change the tactics or what are we going to do? And I said, no. And you said, I'll take that as an emphatic no. So, no, look, they down at that Kassam Stadium, you've got one big open end, and it was almost like a schoolboy game where the wind was blowing. And first half, Portsmouth dominated, and then second half, Oxford sort of dominated. So, they did well to hang on, defended it well against set plays, long throws, free kicks, corners. They were all thrown at them, but they stood their ground and did really, really well. Great start to the season. Yeah, we'll come on to the defence in just a moment in a little bit more detail. Let's go to the other end of the pitch first. Let's talk about the star of the show, Adrian Stegacic. Now, he played the most out of anybody, most amount of minutes in pre-season, and then he gets a goal on his debut. That has to be some incredible feeling, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's what any player wants to do, especially in those forward positions. But listen, it's interesting. We saw him here at Zwolle in pre-season. Myself, you did that one, George, and we were watching it. We gave him man of the match. Just not big in stature, but clever footballer. Gets into those little pockets, likes to turn on the half turn, in and around the box. Great feet, can score goals, and that's exactly what he's done. And I'm sure he'll want to do that at home today in front of his home fans.
And Paul, you touched on it a second ago, a really solid defensive performance. They're turning into quite the partnership, aren't they, Regan Paul and Conor Shaughnessy? I understand you've been crunching the numbers and having a look for us.
Well, the stats are absolutely fantastic. We've put a little piece here together. October 2023 was the last time they played together before last week. And their record is absolutely fantastic. You look at that, they've had 15 appearances together. They've never been beaten, George. That's unbelievable. They've only conceded 9 goals and they've had 8 clean sheets. Now you go down that list, they're playing against some good teams, but there's 4 draws. and the rest are wins. So, you know, they're playing really, really well together. You know, when you're in a successful team, you have those combinations, your two centre-backs or your back four, back five, if you like, with the keeper. They really sort of gel, and those two look like, you know, they're on fire. You know, I don't want to put the dampeners on it before the game today, but they're playing again today, and, you know, with those two at the back, you feel safe.
Yeah, keeping them fit is going to be key, isn't it?
It is, because, you know, last year was unbelievable, wasn't it? I can't remember, I think it was like 16 or something, different partnerships.
I think we lost count towards the end,
yeah, we
didn't
didn't we? I mean, it might have been 15, but there was certainly so many. I mean, we had Marlon Pack dropping in there at halfway through the season and doing a sterling job, you know, but he's out of position. Shaughnessy and Paul are two old school centre halves. They love it to edit, they love to tackle, they love to block. And you put that into any defence and you've got a chance of keeping clean sheets. So, you know, they've done brilliant, and all credit to it. You know, going back to the era that I played was like, you know, Blakey and Billy Gilbert, they were like that.
Yeah, Mark, going back to Norwich last season, Pompey did all right against them, didn't they? They were just one of the three teams that Pompey won away from home at. It was an emphatic 5-3 victory, but the team are going to be slightly different this year, a change of manager with Liam Manning coming into the frame. Yeah,
absolutely, and probably styles and the way that he wants to do things. You know, he's been quoted saying he wants to play high possession, possession-based football, so it's where they started last week. It was interesting to watch the clips back. They played with a 3, they played 3-4-1-2. It's going to be interesting today if they do that here, because obviously Lang and Murphy playing out in those wide positions, they leave a lot of space. And he likes to have a bit of a rotation going on, so he'll take a lot of risks going forwards, but that means they leave a lot of gaps at the back. So, you know, if we're playing Murphy and Lang, will he change his ideas about coming to Fratton Park? It will be really interesting to see, George, because last week that just didn't work for them. Millwall worked that out and they played down the lines. They got runners going into those channels and caused them problems. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's going to live by what he's been saying, or he's actually going to try and change it the way he comes to Fratton Park today.
Yeah, so very quickly, Paul, Pompey undefeated against Norwich last season. Can we take anything from that at all? Not really, because Thurrock was the manager last year, Manning's the manager this year. I think you've just come up with a stat of 11 players have come in, 7 have gone out. So there's lots of changes at the club. Not a bad time to play them, really, because they won't be settled. Yeah, absolutely. So there's plenty to come on Pompey Plus before kick-off. If you're watching on social media, get yourself over to Pompey Plus now to secure a match pass if you want to hang around with us this afternoon. And we'll shortly have your team news as well in the next couple of minutes or so. But now a reminder of how Pompey took that impressive away victory at the Kassam last week, alongside the thoughts of Adrian Segicic.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. I think away from home, playing in front of the travelling fans that we had, you know, it was unbelievable support. And yeah, I think what the boys put in the effort, and to be able to get a goal with 3 points on debut was unbelievable start. As an attacker, you always got to be ready, and yeah, it fell to me on my left foot. You know, I think it couldn't have fell anywhere more perfect, and yeah, just that reverse shot across, and yeah, back of the net. Especially off the back of last season, like I said, I just wanted to, you know, use that confidence and keep building, and to come here and, you know, keep building on that confidence like I did even, I think, for the lads, you know, the way we performed today. I think that confidence going into the next few games is definitely going to help us. I think, you know, for travelling fans, I think it doesn't get much better than that, and to be able to pack out the away bay like that and push the boys on, I think is definitely going to help us this season.
This one is not going to reach Schmidt. It's dangerous, and it's going to be put in the net, is it? No.
Paul spoke too soon, Andy.
It's Schmidt who deals it. They didn't deal that well with that one, Glenn. An Oxford ticket, and Oxford have won it here, and Goodrum's driving to the penalty area. A chance for Oxford. A shot saved by Schmidt, and it's behind, and Oxford have a corner.
Just out of nowhere, wasn't it? Brannigan got away, and
spent a bit of
yeah,
cash.
they have spent the money, but what about?
Oh, that's poor from Brannigan, and Bishop could be in here. Bishop's in. Colby Bishop for Portsmouth, and Bishop saved. Segicic scores. Portsmouth lead. Adrian Segicic on debut picked up the loose ball after Bishop couldn't finish the one-on-one and curled it beautifully into the corner. It's the goal Portsmouth performance deserves. Oxford 0, Portsmouth 1.
Brannigan holding his hands up, he knows he gave it away, put Bishop. It was actually really poor finish by Bishop, wasn't it? He took too long. It was as if he couldn't make up his mind what to do, Andy, and in the end he's hit it straight at the goalkeeper, but luckily he's come out to Segicic on his left foot, managed to squeeze it in the near post. So yeah, they would have been really kicking themselves if they had missed that chance from the man who you want with Bishop, but deservedly so. Has got a bit quiet the last 5-10 minutes, but Pompey should be in the lead, and they've got it.
So you've got two debutants in the front line. Bianchini's had a frustrating 40 minutes, and Segacic is not going to forget that. Schmidt clears it long. 1-0 Portsmouth ahead. Loose ball outside the Oxford penalty area. Segacic, the goal scorer. Lovely from him. Hits it! Oh, it's a great strike. Good save. Coming there. Now Bianchini in the penalty area. He's got it down by the corner flag. Twisting one way than the other. Needs a bit of support. On the bench, long throw into Pompey's penalty area. Moore trying to get on the end of it. Loose ball to be struck, and it's struck well, and there's a chance, and the offside flag has gone up. Oxford think they've equalised. The flag went up straight away, and Dembele edge of the box. Dembele turns one way than the other. Dembele, what's he going to do? A chance, Curry over the bar. Tipped over by Schmidt. Oxford corner kick, still 1-0.
So here's the team news for this afternoon's clash against the Canaries at Fratton Park. Just one change for Pompey. Florian Bianchini drops out and Josh Murphy moves in. Despite John Messino in the week saying the chances of Murphy playing today are slim to none. Has he done us again?
Nah, look, that's a manager's ploy, and he's not giving anything away to the opponents. As a player, your opposition manager tells you that so and so isn't playing, and you're a player that you're going to be playing against. You actually sometimes you think like, oh, that's good, and then when you get the team sheet and he's there, you're going, oh, no, he's playing now. I've got it like. So there's lots of ifs, buts, and maybes in there, but I understand why John does it, and it's a good ploy.
And what kind of impact is that going to have on the side today, Mark? Josh Murphy moving in, player of the season last season. We know what he's capable of.
Yeah, if they're going to go about it the way they went about it last week, Norwich, it's, as I say, they take risks, they break, but they leave massive holes. And obviously we want Murphy down that side, getting on the ball, driving at them, causing them problems. So, yeah, tactically quite astute from John Messino, just letting them kind of play that mindset game where given the impression that he's not going to play, but because he'll be the key man, I think, this afternoon if Norwich go the same way that they did last week.
Whenever you play against a back five, or a three, if you like, whichever way you put it, you've always got those 2v1 situations in wide areas, and we're strong. We're strong in those wide areas. Lang last week was very close to being my man of the match. Segacic just nicked it, but on the other side as well, Murphy coming back in, it's got to be a massive boost for us. Yeah,
let's talk about that attacking line. We haven't seen this yet, have we? We've got Bishop up top as captain. We've got Lang playing just behind him, well, maybe to the right to start off with, but he likes to change things up with Segacic and Murphy all playing at the same time. It's going to be quite a fearsome attacking display this afternoon, you'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what it is? There's quite a bit of flexibility in there, as you said, George, because Segacic can drop outside and Lang can drop inside. So now, if there's times in games and there's moments that they might want to have a little changeover, they can do that. But there's certainly plenty of firepower in that front line to really cause back threes, back fours problems all year. And it's going to be exciting to see this afternoon how they can go and stamp their authority on this game. But it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, we've touched on the defence a lot today already, so let's talk about the two holding midfielders, Dazal and Swift. How did they do last week for you, and what are you looking to see from them today?
Well, we talked about it at the end of last week with Swifty especially. Swifty to me is a more attacking minded player, but last week I've got to say I was really surprised at how well he did that holding midfielder's role, especially when he started dropping in between the two centre halves and getting the ball off of them. So did Dizal, in an attacking way. It was good, and they both did so well out of possession. There was lots of back tackling, there was lots of blocks, interceptions. I've got to say, I thought they played really well, the two of them. Absolutely fantastic.
So that's the home team. Let's have a look at the away side now. Norwich City, the Canaries, how they line up at Fratton Park this afternoon. We suspect then, Mark, a back three. Is that what we're looking at again today?
Yeah, so last week they played Medic, Darling and Kaboda. Stacey Wright, Topic, they play with a holding two themselves. Schlupp, Karnak, Forson and Sargent. Obviously Sargent, big centre forward, scored last week. Bit of a fluke goal, I must be honest, we're looking at it. But, they've had an £18 million turn down from him during the summer from Wolfsburg. So, obviously, a danger man up there. But, listen, that's the way they've gone about it. They play that back through. But, as I said, I think it's a bit more fluidity in the fact that they can play with a front five at times. That's how they do it. They come off come off angles, play with the front five, and literally just kind of go and try and press as high as they can to win the ball back. So that's going to be a big topic. But as I said, big thing for me, will they play a back three or will they go into a back four? That's going to be a bit of a debate this afternoon, I think.
And a couple of new faces for them on the bench as well, in Jeffrey Schlupp, who we know signed from Palace in the summer. He's got Premier League experience. Also, their kind of marquee signing, if you like, Matthias Kvistgaarden, 23 years old striker, signed for Bromby for £6.9 million, a Danish international, and he sat there on the bench. So when they want to change things up, they certainly can, Norwich.
Yeah, they can, and spending that kind of money, you would expect him to be an automatic starter. But they lost the lad Sains. He went abroad, and he'll be a big miss. He created a lot last year and scored a lot, so there's a big pair of boots to fill there. But they're going to be well organised. Liam Manning has had a few jobs coaching. He was at Milton Keynes Dons, went to Oxford, Bristol City, and now Norwich. He's done a decent job wherever he's gone, so I'm expecting to be well organised. However, if we play as we can, George, with our press and our intensity, and the crowd get behind these lads as they usually do, I can still see us winning.
Fingers crossed. We will get your predictions in just a moment, but let's get your thoughts at home first and foremost. What do you make of the lineups? And tell us as well what you think of, your predictions today, how you think it's going to go, the first home game of the Championship season. It's 07457 413 694 on the WhatsApp. Is that Pompey on X? And you can scan that QR code on your screen, which will also take you directly through to our WhatsApp. So away from the Championship, just for a moment, Pompey were in action on Tuesday night here at Fratton Park, and although it wasn't meant to be in the Carabao Cup, there were still some memorable moments.
And it's switched out nicely, right hand side this time. Devlin with a cross, header, brilliant save, and then can't quite get a shot away. Kozlowski first, then Waddingham the second time, and somehow it stays out. Yeah. John Messina said he'd be quite happy with that if he saw progress on and off the field. As Airhead Batcherman, the chip ball forward now for Reading, right hand corner penalty area, right-footed pile driver, comes back, shot is blocked, and the rebound eventually, the third time of asking, is put home, and Reading have taken the lead from Garcia. They've had their opportunities. They had three there in one go. For Reading, as Reading lead 1-0. Goes out wide to Ahmed, and Ahmed heads on. And then up towards Airhead Batcherman. Matthews should get there. He's not going to get there. Airhead Batcherman could make it two here, and he does make it two. He got round Matthews. Matthews should have dealt with it. Airhead Batcherman finishes. And Reading, who hadn't scored at all in their two league games going into this game, have scored. Doing so well against Oxford. Corner kick, far side. In towards the near post, and the header comes in. I think it was Farrell who got the header to it, and he's frustrated because that was a chance. He's had slightly back to goal, but couldn't quite direct that on target. And now Reading on the breakaway in the centre. Here is the long-haired Charlie Savage, and he plays it short. This could be sealed here, and Killett comes out of the 6-yard box there as Chiera was running in diagonally. It was passing from Savage, so much space. Killett comes out, saves it, and that's got to hurt from that distance and pace. But I think it was Stickland who's back up onto his feet. Comes back to Segicic. Segicic's cross! Oh, Singer! The youngster! What a dream moment it is for him! The cross comes in.
So our first guest on the Pompey Plus balcony this season has been a huge part of Pompey's story for the past 3 years, but Pompey have been a big part of his story now for much longer than that. Whether it's modelling the kits as a child, re-signing for his dream club, or lifting the League One trophy, there isn't much that Marlon Pack hasn't done during his time at Pompey. Now the skipper is out of action for a few weeks following successful knee surgery, but we're delighted to have him with us on the balcony this afternoon. Hi Marlon, how are you doing? How's the injury? How did the surgery go?
Yeah, surgery went really good. Tuesday I had it. Yeah, good movement. Just saying to Paul and Kales, just got to bide my time a little bit. Not used to being injured, so yeah, one that I just got to take my time, let the process be, and then hopefully come back and play a part in the season coming up.
Yeah, there's never a good time for an injury, of course, but you had such a good pre-season and then it happens right at the start of the Championship season. That must have been a bit of a blow, a bit of a hard one to take.
I think there's two sides to look at it. It wasn't great in times of it being the start of the season, but the fact that it's Saturday now, it allows me time to recover properly and, like I said, fully focus on getting back fit.
So how important then do you see your role off the pitch, as well as on, but off the pitch when you're not playing? How do you stay integrated with the squad?
I think I've said that even if I'm not in the team, it's still being consistent in what I do. Obviously it's a little bit different now I'm injured, but making sure I do everything right. Be a good role model to the younger players, and even like today, be around the dressing room. Look at it from a different lens now in the stands. You can see things a lot easier, as these two will tell you. So just help the lads. And listen, I get FOMO. I miss being a part of it. It's been a part of my life for so long. You know, since these two were coaching me all those years ago before they had grey hair. So no, I love it. It's my football club. I love being part of that dressing room. You can't beat that feeling. Of course, you want to be playing, you want to be on the bench, you want to be involved, but my take on it is now, if I can add a positive through a negative, then it's only going to be beneficial to me and hopefully the teams as well.
So when you're back, you're fighting fit. What are your aims for the season, as well as the clubs as well? Because obviously we'll take last season, but we are going to look to build on that at some point, aren't we?
I think you put it into blocks. Obviously I'll have individual aims, we'll have aims as a team, and the football club will have aims as well. I think for where I lie now, I think they're all pretty much aligned. I want the best for the football club, and if the football club do well, we do well as a team, we do well as an individual. So I think the simplest form would be play as many games as I can, and making sure I put myself in a good position to do that. And then naturally you want to progress as a football club, so whether that looks like league position or not, but I think for us to evolve, probably evolve the style of play a little bit, have a little bit more control, but then not lose fat to what gave us success last year. We were, especially at home, very energetic, very hard to play against. Use this as our cauldron, and then probably from another improvement point is obviously improve the away form, which was a great start last week in doing that.
Yeah, so building on that then from last week, it was a great performance from the team as well. Seeing a goal from the new lad, that must be a great feeling for him. What's the mood like in the camp? Because pre-season was so good as well, and we'll ignore what happened on Tuesday for a moment.
I think pre-season is really tough, right? Because we've had really tough pre-season before. I have had as an individual, and you don't want to look too much into it. But when you've had such a good pre-season, I just feel like the language, the behaviours, like the culture felt different this year. Maybe that was off the back of a really strong finish, and I think it just kind of flowed into pre-season, and as it did on Saturday. So it's only a start, but it's everything we spoke about. Pre-season isn't all for one game, it's for about the whole season, but when you've put all that work in, it feels like it's a bit of a cup final at Oxford. So to get that out of the way, put the boys controlled large elements of the game, and it's, like I said, it's everything we want to go and implement. We did. The only slight was we didn't make the game more comfortable, and in the end, with a side that's so good on set pieces, they nearly maybe nicked an equaliser. So that would be a learning curve, but tough place to go and a really good start, especially away from home.
But the backline stood so firm throughout still, even Oxford gaining territory. They didn't concede throughout pre-season either, so that's got to fill the team with confidence going forward. It
fuels confidence. Listen, it's a confidence game. You'd have seen it last year. What we did day in, day out in training was massive, but then when it comes to the games, when you're lacking in confidence, it's tough, right? So I think when you have a consistent centre-back pairing, which is hopefully what we'll have this year, I think it definitely helps. We have those core foundations in the team, and then hopefully that will give the attacking players the chance to go and do what they do, because we know with that attacking threat that we have going forward that will score goals. And I think if we can stick with a consistent back four or 5 or 6 players, then hopefully that will help.
And we know last season, in your words actually, was testing. So what have the squad learned for this season, the second season in the Championship now?
Well, I think the jury will be out on that. It will be proof in the pudding. I think experience is key, and as the season progressed last year, you see that. And I think you've seen it, like I said, that's been probably gone into pre-season. You've seen lads with a bit more confidence. They've shown that they belong at this level. They've shown that they can hopefully prove themselves as championship players. And that has to continue this season. If we want to progress, that has to continue. I think the message, especially for me, of the group, is last year when we were brave and bold, we were really good. And I think at times a footballer, that's easier said than done. You can, when things aren't going well, you can hide. And I think that's when we're not at our best. So if we can be brave and bold in and out of possession, and I think we'll be a real strong force this year.
Yeah, and we touched on it at the start. This club's been a part of your life forever. What are some of your most memorable moments from over the years?
There's so many key events that have been part of the football club. I think as a supporter, watching the club make the Premier League was massive, and then also just coming back, winning the league, and I think last year was just as important, right? Because the club have toiled in League One, League Two, and it's tough to get out. It's really, really tough, especially with the expectation of how big we are as a football club. So last year to stay in the division and in the manner that we did, I think it's massive for us to continue to get to where we want to get to. Obviously, it's going to be a process, but not everyone will see the building blocks and the step by. Since I've come back in the building, every single year there's been progress, and it's going to take time, but eventually I think we'll get there. And it's really exciting. You should be excited to be involved as in the football club, to be a Portsmouth fan, because I think the possibilities are endless.
You came through the Pompey Academy, so it must be encouraging for you to see players like Harry Clout sign his first professional contract and Tayo Singer scoring at the Fratton end on Tuesday night. Yeah, really pleased for Tayo. I think I've seen a lot of him in the youth team. I think he has a bit of everything. He's physical, he's athletic, I think more importantly, and these two are back up, he's a really good lad, and I think that goes a long way. Says hello, says good morning at the right times, and that has a huge effect on the first team. So really pleased for him. Clouty's done well, and hopefully he, with his loan spell, mans up a little bit, which he needs to. It's going away, playing men's football. I think that will only be beneficial for him. So it's really pleasing. These two coached me here and obviously played for the football club. I think that's the beauty of Portsmouth, right? You have ex-players that are coaches, and now they stay involved in the football club, and that's what makes this football club so unique. Yeah, you can't shake them off. You can't get rid of them. No, I can't. No, they're always in my ear one way or another. So, but they were great for me growing up, and I always, when we bump in, they're always a massive influence in my career. And you always look back at people that played a huge part, and apart from your day-to-days, your parents and your family pushing you, it's always those coaches that have been a massive part in your development. Yeah, and there was a bit of a gap, wasn't there, from you leaving the academy? You had spells at Bristol City, at Cardiff, other clubs as well. What was that feeling like for you coming back home after all that time away? Do you know what? It was a huge void, right? But I actually didn't realise how much I loved the football club, and how much it meant to me until I came back. I don't think you do. So, and that's even back to kind of living back in the city. So, yeah, I love it. It's a drug. I think the pleasing thing for me now is like, my sons are now being able to see it. My oldest is definitely a Pompey boy now. So I think when you go back and you look back at your career, they're the real moments that matter. Yeah, and Mark, I believe you have a question for our guest on the balcony.
Yeah, well, just why we got grey hair, by the way,
yeah.
You lot, that journey. But listen, the manager has come out, he's intimated that actually one day he sees you as a big potential of being a manager of the football club. Is that something you want to get into, coaching and life? What do you think?
Yes, I'm making sure I'm prepared from that aspect, but I don't know. I think you can look too far ahead, right? And I'm very honest with myself. I know there's not loads of football left, but I'm fit. I mean, apart from now, but I look after myself. Footballers generally now look after themselves to up until post 35, so I think I don't want to look too far ahead and kind of wish these last 2 years, whatever that looks like, because what it's like, you've both been in the situation, you can't replicate that changing room, turning up day to day. So I'm a little bit conscious of stepping too far and being too prepared, where at the minute I think I have a good relationship with the dressing room and the management team. But yes, I love football. I think you can tell I'm passionate for it. I like to think I've got a good eye for it, and I've lived in these next young up-and-coming players. I lived in their shoes. I've been a Pompey lad, so I think it would be wrong not to stay in the game in some capacity. But what that looks like, I suppose that journey will take care of itself one way or another. I at the minute, just enjoy being a professional footballer because it's the best days of your life.
Yeah, certainly. Time runs, doesn't it?
Yeah,
You've got
exactly,
to enjoy it all.
Marlon, I've got a question. So when those fixtures came out, I know which one you looked out for.
Yeah.
You know, when we used to go down the road and play them in the youth team, you were always right up for it. It must be a gutter that you're going to miss it. The away fixture at least.
Well, we'll see, right? That's the first thing I said to the surgeon. So yeah, of course, naturally with this injury, it rules me out for that game. And like I said, I have to be cautious in my approach, and you have to come back from these injuries in the right way. So, but yeah, there's a little voice eating at me. There's a massive voice eating at me, and hoping I'll be back for that game. We'll see. To be involved in that game in any capacity will be a great feeling for me. Of course, you want to be involved from some playing time and being involved in the dressing room. But if it isn't to be, it isn't to be. But it's definitely given me something to work towards. And I suppose it's how the boys do until then, because I can do all I can and make sure I'm prepared. But if the boys continue to perform and do well, then it kind of takes me out of the equation anyway. So yeah, whether it's medically doable, we'll see. But yeah, it's something to work towards. And it's like as us footballers being in sport, we like to have targets, we like to have schedules, and that's a good one for me now to work towards.
And there's a few more games to come before then, starting this afternoon against Norwich. So we had a good record against them last season. What are you expecting from today?
Yeah, I think those two. I think we were unlucky not to beat him at home. And then also, I think the away performance was probably one of the best performances of the season. Obviously, change of the manager, Liam Manning come in, a really good young, bright manager in the Championship that had a really good season at Bristol City. So they play a really good style of football. They've recruited really well in the summer. Okay, they didn't win at the weekend, but I think they had a good result against Watford in the week. So they play a difficult way. I heard you guys talking earlier about what they're going to play. I think we prepared as if they're going to play a version of 3-4-3. So they have some really good attacking players. They like to control it in midfield, and it's going to be a real test for us. I know we had good results against them last year, but I think to show us, I know it's only the second game of the season, but to show our progression as a team and as a football club, this would be a really good test for us.
Yeah, we've got one more question here. It's coming from WhatsApp from Matt, saying, Marlon, what do you think of the new third kit? It's caused quite a stir on social media.
There I am. Look all right there.
Still modelling kits.
Still modelling kits after all these years, yeah.
You didn't have a beard when you were younger, though.
Oh no, I wish I did. I won't shave it now. Do you know what? I think that's the beauty of a third kit, right? It's going to divide opinion. It's going to stand out.
It stands out all right, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, there you go.
Well, I thought it was a shoe-in at first, but it's not.
The kids like it, and I think sometimes that's the main thing. I'm a little bit more of a traditionalist, and I think that comes back from seeing old pictures of these guys in black and white.
I don't know. I can imagine these two in an Illumina screen. What do you
know what? I'm going to speak to Matt. I'm going to try and get these two in the catalogue next year. See how they like it.
Yeah, that will bump up the sales figures, won't it? Marlon, thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the game this afternoon. We'll hopefully see you up here again soon. Yeah. So how's the head coach feeling ahead of the first home game of the season? Well, let's find out. We caught up with John Messino earlier on this week.
Yeah, looking forward to being back. It's been a long time away from Fratton Park in the league. The back end of the season, obviously, we had a decent end to the year with the draw at Hull against Hull. We beat Watford, big point against Derby. So some good memories, obviously, from last season because the home form was very good. And the last couple of weeks, we've had a decent crowd against Pek Zwolle. Very, very good crowd last night. We've got a bit to put right after the performance, and we're looking forward to doing it.
As I said, Norwich the opponents. What is there to expect from them after what you've seen from their opening two games?
Yeah, a very good side who last year posed a lot of questions to a lot of sides in the league and were a really tough side to play against, and probably slightly unlucky to finish where they did. And they've strengthened over the summer, so they've changed manager obviously. They've got Liam in, who did a fantastic job with Bristol City last year and taken them to the playoff semi-finals. So I think they've strengthened in every department, to be honest, and they've signed some very, very good players from across Europe, and we expect them to be very competitive. So I think it's going to be a really interesting game.
In terms of us and your team going into the weekend, how much confidence can be taken from the Oxford game in terms of that result, getting 3 points on the board, but also the performance as well?
Yeah, I hope the boys are confident anyway, not just from the Oxford game. I wanted them to be confident going into the Oxford game based on everything that we've done pre-season, regardless of any of the results in the games, and just based on the fact that if they're selected to pull on the Portsmouth shirt, they should go up with their chests held high and make sure they're right at it in terms of everything they do. So I expect plenty of confidence. I don't want it to tip into any complacency. I think that's the key in football. But I think the Ballards coming back and playing at Fratton Park as well, it should give them an extra boost.
What's training been like this week in terms of the output and the intensity? Has there been two groups with the two different squads, or has it just been sort of business as normal?
Yeah, it had not been business as normal because we sort of had a split group yesterday. Essentially, the lads that played at the weekend that played yesterday, you would have seen get the minutes: Regan Poole, Dawes, Swifty, Flo, and then the others we split off that didn't get the minutes. They trained on Tuesday afternoon, so had a Monday training session, trained Tuesday afternoon and trained again today. So it's been a bit of a stop-start week, a bit of a different week because of the amount of changes we made Tuesday, but we should be well prepared going into Friday and Saturday.
And just finally, obviously with it being August, I have to ask, what are things looking like on the transfer front for you?
Yeah, looking pretty good at the moment. I suppose quiet this week in terms of any incomings and outgoings, but we're still working hard to make sure that we're in a good position in a couple of weeks' time, and we're feeling pretty confident at the minute. So as the games start to come thick and fast, particularly this week because we've got 3 games, my involvement just slightly wanes, and I go back and obviously check in with Rich and Brad at every opportunity. But at the minute, fully focused on the game, and there's a lot going on in the background.
So the thoughts of the gaffer there as things are starting to get louder inside Fratton Park as we build up to Norwich at 12:30. So we haven't got much time at all. Paul, it's always going to be loud at Fratton Park, isn't it? But the opening game of the season, adding to that, the Josh Murphy starting, the atmosphere is feeling pretty electric at the moment, isn't it?
It's buzzing already, isn't it? You just listen to Marlon there about being a Pompey boy. He's bringing his lad up, and this place never changes. You can do anything to it, but that feel about it is something special. You get a real buzz. As a young kid coming and watching games to play in, it never changed. Absolutely fantastic atmosphere. You can hear it building.
Mark, these are the stats for both teams last season. We know there have been significant changes in personnel and in management as well for Norwich, but how much can you read into these stats from last year? What do they mean today? Do they have any bearing whatsoever, or has the slate been wiped clean over the summer?
No, absolutely. I think it's been wiped clean, to be fair. They've obviously had massive changes. We've actually got our defensive group back, so, from stats there, from our goals conceded and stuff, we're not going to see that this year. So I think we just rip that up and we start again, basically, George, this season. And as I said, it's going to be an interesting one this afternoon.
The new signings today, I'm talking Adrian Segacic, I'm talking John Swift, even though he may have an idea of what Fratton Park's about already. But even the ones on the bench at the moment who aren't even starting today. What's this first game like at the home stadium when you sign for a new club?
It's different. Like when I left here and went to Sunderland, getting used to the Roker-Raw was different to the Fratton Park, but they'll embrace it, let's be honest, because you can't not embrace it. The fans are right behind you. Even when we concede a goal, the fans are singing. It's brilliant. It's a great place to play.
Yeah, and does it take them time to settle in? The longer you have to wait for that first home game of the season, with the first one being away, would this do it more today? Would that cement them as more of the club and as part of the community?
No, I think the build-up starts, doesn't it? And I'm not being funny, as soon as you step out of Fratton Park, at the level, your first home game, everybody's going to be telling them what it's like. Until you step out there, you don't know. But I'm sure they'll soon get into it. They'll want to get on with their job. They'll want to do their job properly, and they want to go and implement that today and stay in the side.
Yeah, Pompey were the dominant side against Oxford. It took them about 60, 65, 70 minutes to start coming into the game, but that's going to be slightly different here today, isn't it, away from home? I mean, how are we going to fare at home against a side like Norwich playing the way they do?
It's going to be interesting because both teams like to press and press high. So, as long as Pompey don't take too many risks at the back when we're playing out early on, I can see us getting a goal in the first 25 minutes and then hopefully hanging on to that till half time and then building on it. So, it's about how we start today. The fans will be right behind. I can see us really up for this game. I can feel it.
And when we compare the start of last season to this season, if we can secure another 3 points today and have 6 on the board after the first 2 games, that just holds you in good stead going forward, doesn't it? That confidence is going to be something else.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Marlon said it there when he was talking about it actually feels a lot more stable. There's a lot of stability around, you know, through pre-season, didn't concede a goal, carrying that on. You know, listen, it's some great stuff, but if you can nick 3 points today, what a great start that is to any season.
So on social media then, Adam's been in touch on X saying nothing comes close to that first Saturday home game in the league, and Dan says can't wait for kick-off, let's go you Blues, 4-0 incoming. But we'll certainly take that, Dan. David been a bit more conservative but still saying a Pompey victory at 2-1 there. So everyone getting in touch is saying Pompey are winning this one.
Yep.
How are you holding up, Paul? What are you feeling about today? What is your prediction for the game?
My prediction for the game is 2-1. I think unfortunately Norwich will score, but I still think that we'll win the game 2-1.
So a 2-1 to Pompey there. Where's that coming from today? Where are these 2 goals? Are we talking about them wide areas you mentioned earlier on?
Yeah, I'm looking at Callum Lang and Colby Bishop scoring today, or one of the defenders coming up for a set play.
Okay, well, we'll take all of that on board. Mark, what are we saying? What's your prediction for today?
So I'm going to go for a 1-0 win, Pompey.
A 1-0 victory. Is that coming early on, or is that going to be a 95th minute?
Hopefully it won't be too late, but I think it'll be quite cagey for a good while. But yeah, I see Murphy and Lang and Sergacic just causing them problems all day.
So the players are just about to start walking out onto the pitch here at Fratton Park. So we thought for the first game of the season, let's just soak up the atmosphere for a little bit, shall we? Let's drink it in. I mean, I don't know if you're feeling at home, but it's feeling pretty electric here. I mean, even for the away fans today, they've travelled quite far. They had to get up early doors this morning with it being an early kick-off, but they're going to be raring to go. And of course, at Fratton Park, when are they not ready to go? Just listen to that behind us. That is pretty much it from now. For us for now, I can't even hear myself speak at the moment. I love this part of the day. And if you're watching on social media, coverage ends for you here. So if you want match coverage, get yourself over to Pompey Plus as soon as possible. So, John Messino's men defend Fortress Fratton. It's the first home game of the season. My eardrums are bleeding, and it's Pompey taking on Norwich City next.